Hey, and what is going on, everybody? It is Zero here, back with some more Diablo action. Today, guys, we're going to take a look at Hammerdin again. This time, we're going to take a look at what you need to do to run 80 plus. This build is a pain in the ass, man, to get up to the 80s. For me, it has been anyway. The season, like I think I said the last time we talked about it, has been really bad for me for hammers. Finding the gear, it's just not working out for me. And that's going to happen sometimes, man. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to get the rolls, no matter how much you reforge or gamble or re-roll or anything, man. Just sometimes it ain't going to work out for you. And that's what's been happening to me this time. But we're going to go over some things, because last time we talked about the way I was running it below 80s. It topped out at 80, and that's fine. But now we're going to talk about what you need to do to get it up above 80 and over. So this applies to the 90s as well. We're going to talk about the rolls you need, not necessarily the rolls I have, because I'm having really bad luck with getting this gear. I've been able to put together perfect invokers set, almost completed the LOM bomb set now too. Like everything else I've been able to complete, this set is just not agreeing with me. But let's get into it, guys. Skills. We'll go over the skills real quick because I am running it a little bit differently than last time, I think. Still running with Limitless, that's what you gotta run. We're using Falling Sword Rapid Descent this time rather than, I think last time I was using Part the Clouds. So the reason you want to use Rapid Descent, this is something I talked to a bunch of other Crusaders about, is that you want to try and keep your Zodiac Ring from cooling down Falling Sword. You want it to work on these other things, right? So Rapid Descent, if you land on enough enemies, it instantly cools down. So if you don't know what Rapid Descent does, each enemy hit by Falling Sword reduces the cooldown by 1 second. The cooldown cannot be reduced below 10 seconds. So, honestly, you land on enough enemies, the Zodiac Ring finishes it off super fast, and then it can focus on your other skills. So the Zodiac Ring randomly chooses skills to cool down, and you don't want it to be focusing on Falling Sword. You want it to be focusing on all your other skills. So you're using Laws of Valor. I'm using Invincible. Reduce the law. Recite the law, granting you and your allies 8% increased attack speed. This build really needs attack speed. The more you're attacking, the more you're proccing all your abilities and whatnot. It's very important. Provoke, I'm using Cleanse. You don't necessarily have to use Cleanse, but I think this is the way to go. For each enemy successfully taunted, you gain 1073 additional life on hit for 5 seconds. This allows you to keep spaces on your gear free for other things instead of life on hit and whatnot. So it's pretty important. Akarat's Champion, Prophet, obvious reasons. We're also using Iron Skin Flash. If you take damage while Iron Skin is active, your movement speed is increased for 60% for 5 seconds, and you can move through enemies unhindered. This is a pretty big deal for escaping when you know that you're gonna get crushed. This can help you pop out of the pack real quick. You want to use the ability to just kind of stutter step through enemies while hammering, to be proccing your cooldowns from the Zodiac Ring, as well as getting any life per hit that you have, rather than falling sorting out of a pack if you can. Sometimes you're not going to have a choice, but say you have 10 stacks for your hammers, you don't want to jump out of a group and land on 2 guys and get 2 stacks or even nothing, when you could just stutter step out of them, continue hitting them and doing damage with those full stacks. This is a very good solid option, and I think everybody on the top end of the leaderboards is running it. Passives, we are running Fervor, Finery, and when it comes to these two, I was just messing around here, but I'm running it like this: Indestructible and Holy Cause. When it comes to, you have to have Indestructible. There's no denying it, okay? Holy Cause, the amount of damage dealt by your weapon is increased by 10%. Whenever you deal holy damage, you heal up to 1% of your total life. So this one can be swapped out. If you aren't having problems sustaining yourself, you don't need to use this. Okay, you can use Blunt instead. You get more damage out of Blunt, for sure. Increase the damage of Justice and Blessed Hammer by 20%. But for me, I can't do it. I can't do it without Holy Cause. I just get crushed, and I still get crushed even with Holy Cause. So this is more life on hit, basically. And it really will help sustain you a lot. Okay, gear-wise, guys. Exactly the same gear, for the most part, as last time, I think. Okay, we are obviously using the Secret of the Light set. On your boots, you're going to want Strength, Vitality, all res or armor with a hammer roll. All res or armor, whichever one you can get. Usually you're going to have to roll something off to get that hammer damage on there. And then you're going to want to augment it, of course. Pants, you're going to go straight tank, strength, vit, armor, or all res, up to you. The chest piece, the recommended roll, I would say, is strength, vitality, and reduced damage from elites. But that's easier said than done. Okay, helmet, the crown of the light. Ideal roll here is going to be strength, crit chance, and hammers damage. If you're trying to push as far as you can, that's what you're going to want. I'm having real problems sustaining right now, so I'm just keeping with vitality. And I haven't really found a better helmet than this anyway. Shoulders, ideally, you're going to want some area damage on here, I'd say. So I'd say go strength, vitality, cooldown, and area damage would probably be ideal roll, but again, that's easier said than done. And remember, guys, even with your Zodiac ring, you're gonna need cooldown on your gear. There's no denying that. Okay, gloves. So ideal roll here is going to be, this thing will not stop going off. There we go. Ideal roll is going to be cooldown, attack speed, crit chance, or crit damage. You could go crit damage, crit chance, and cooldown. You're going to want cooldown on them, though. You could go trifecta, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage if you feel you have enough cooldown. But I think added cooldown on the gloves is really going to come in handy. You want all your abilities up as much as freaking possible. So I would probably go crit chance, attack speed, cooldown with my gloves. And this is still the best pair of gloves I've found. Every pair of gloves I find is garbage. It's unreal. Okay, once you get into the 80s, guys, you're going to need Gambriel's Van Braces. Last video I said I was running with Nemesis Bracers, and I still think, honestly, Nemesis Bracers is a really, really good choice if the rest of your gear is, like, totally baller. But once you get into the 80s, you really, really do need this for the Guardian. It can be, especially if you have a Guardian without ads, you're going to need it. Before 80s, not so much. You can easily do the build with Nems Bracers. Ideal roll on here is going to be Holy Skill, Strength, Vite, and Crit Chance. Life per hit isn't bad on them. But like I said, you can get a lot of your life on hit from other sources, your skills, okay, and your Paragon. But yeah, you're going to need this come the 80s. You really need that refunded hammers cost against the Guardians on the 80s. Especially because the trash goes down. So like even in the 80s, you can put down trash really, really quickly, and then oftentimes you're left with like elites that have, a third of their health left. So you'll get that refund cost, and it'll come in real handy. Let you spam even more hammers. Oh, this belt, the bane of my existence this season. Can't get an ancient belt to save my life. You're going to go pure tank on the belt, strength, fight, all res or armor, and life percent. Shield, guys, Guard of Choana, you have to have it. I think the ideal role is going to be, strength, vitality, crit chance, and CDR. Life per wrath spent isn't a bad thing, but again, you can get your life return elsewhere. But a lot of people do run it with life per wrath spent, and it's not a bad thing. Okay, obviously you need the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. This is pretty much the bread and butter of the build. It's going to allow you to constantly have uptime on all of your skills, combined with the cooldown reduction that you have on your gear. Currently, where's my CDR here? I have 45%, which is okay. I think it could be a little bit better. I pretty much have uptime on everything. As long as I'm hitting stuff, I have 100% uptime on everything because of the Zodiac Ring. And, it's a pretty standard roll. You can go attack speed, crit chance, and the cooldown. It is what it is. Alright, next up we're talking about Johanna's Argument. This thing is so hard to roll, it's not even funny. So you're going to have a real hard time getting a good one. I'm able to do 80 with this one. But an ideal roll is going to be damage percent, strength, life per hit, or life per wrath spent on it. Obviously with a socket, with an emerald in there. Augment all your gear if you can. Life on hit, life per wrath spent on this is really going to help sustain you on top of the other life on hit that you get from your skills. It will really help keep you alive. Life per wrath spent is okay as well. That's what I'm using right now, but I'm using that because I've got life after kill on my secondary. I can't roll life on hit on this. I think I would prefer life on hit. And then we need to talk about the Endless Walk set. The bane of so many people's existence in Diablo 3. This set is super hard to roll. So when it comes to the ring, I'm going to say an ideal roll would be like strength, definitely cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage. Even area damage on this would be okay if you could fit it in somehow. But that's easier said than done. This ring is one of the hardest items in the game to roll. So good luck with that. Again though, definitely I would put cooldown on this. And then finally we have the Traveler's Pledge, and an ideal roll obviously for the Traveler's Pledge is going to be holy damage, crit chance, crit damage, but that is a hell of a lot easier said than done. So just go for the best one that you can possibly get. Go straight damage on your amulet always. Okay? And then for the gems, just like last time, we're running Bane of the Trapped, Bane of the Stricken, and the Golgoth of Swiftness. This is the other part of the build that is going to really help you with your cooldowns. Between the Golgoth of Swiftness, the Zodiac Ring, and the cooldown on your gear, you're going to have 100% uptime on everything as long as you are hitting things. If you are not hitting things, you will not have 100% uptime on things. Which is why when you're moving, even if there's just a few mobs around, like if you're moving from one pack to another, you really want to stutter step, toss out hammers as you're moving, and that'll help your cooldowns come back online. All your skills will come back up, hopefully by the time you get to the next encounter. You don't want to get into an encounter without jumping in with Falling Sword. It's extraordinarily important to jump in with Falling Sword. Right? And the reason that we're doing that, in case you've all forgotten, is because of this bad boy. Each enemy hit by Falling Sword increases the damage of Blessed Hammer by 60% for 10 seconds, max 10 stacks. Huge hammers damage, right? We're also running Hammer Jammers. Enemies take 400% increased damage from your Blessed Hammer for 10 seconds after you hit them with a blind, immobilize, or stun, which is happening all the freaking time. And the Convention of Elements for huge damage bonuses when it's on the holy roll. If you're having real trouble sustaining yourself, I would recommend running the Unity combo instead. That will help keep you alive very well. And lastly, another thing to look at, guys, here is if you're having trouble with your attack speed. You can see I'm at 2.1 right now, which is decent. It's not terrible. Okay. But the deal is that the only reason I can achieve that right now is because of the follower. Now I'm actually using the Enchantress here. You want to do, your standard follower setup. Give them some sort of weapon that's gonna, you know, put a status effect on an enemy. The S of Johan is always best in slot for a follower for Amulet. She's got a Unity on right now, and of course you want an Oculus ring on her, because if you can get into your Oculus that's on the ground and you have all 10 stacks of hammers damage, and enemies have been procced by the hammer jammers, the damage is going to go through the roof. But keep in mind that you don't want to jump into the ring unless there's 10 enemies surrounding the ring, because if you jump into the ring and you go from 10 stacks to say 4 stacks just to get in that ring, the damage bonus is no longer worth it. 10 stacks is always gonna, of hammers damage, is always gonna outweigh the damage bonus you get from the Oculus circle that lands on the ground. So don't jump into it unless there's 10 enemies around. That's a big one. But the reason we're using her, where is it? Here we go. 40-yard aura that increases attack speed for you and your enchantress by 3%. So that's pretty big. You'll see if I change her over. I mean, it just drops down to 2.6, but it's more attack speed. More attack speed in this build is a good thing. Okay, and that's what I use. You can, I mean, you can use whatever you want, but I think a lot of people run the enchantress on it. Just give you a little bit more attack speed. It's not going to hurt, and attack speed is the bread and butter of this build. The more you can attack, the more your cooldowns proc, the more your other skills can be used, and you know, proc all your debuffs and your buffs and everything. That's the way I run it. So like I said, guys, this build, man, is doing my head in terms of upgrades. I just can't do it. I can't get the upgrades I need this season. If we look at the leaderboard real quick, 83 is my max. Pretty freaking, you know, rank 808. Pretty bad. Pretty, you know, big difference from last season where we achieved ranked 26. I'm getting frustrated with the build, not because it doesn't perform well, but because I can't push it as far as I want because I'm not getting the drops I need. Let's take a quick look at my profile here to show you guys kind of what's going on. You can see that I have an LON build up and running now. I'm still missing a few ancient pieces, but I'm probably going to end up doing the push that way. Top of leaderboard's been taken over. Number 1 spot is LON bomb again, because LON bomb is still stronger than this build. It just takes a lot. Well, this season it seems like it doesn't take a lot more work to get it up and running than this, but in a lot of cases it will be harder to get up and running. But there you go, guys. That's what you need to do to push past 80. I've seen a lot of people talking about having trouble getting past 80, having trouble sustaining, just being instantly killed. And remember, that's going to happen with this build. There's nothing you can do about it. It's so squishy. There's nothing you can do about it. Especially if there's like elite ground effects going on, man, you're going to get smoked. Stay out of those elite ground effects. They will destroy you. It's not even funny. But that's what's what, guys. That's how you push past 80. Those are the kind of stats that you need. You really need to reforge and re-roll like freaking madmen in order to get this freaking build past the 80s. It's strong, no doubt, but man, is it ever a glass cannon. So it takes a lot of work to get it up to into the 80s. Also, your Paragon's going to help a big amount. If you're past Paragon 800, it's going to get a lot easier. The further past 800 you get, the easier it'll get to push this build further. So there you go. Holy Hammers, 80 plus. I know it's been a while since I posted a video on it, but man, the build is just driving me bonkers because I just can't get any of the stuff I need. And it's kind of turned me off the whole build in general. Just having a bad luck with the drops this season. Not nearly as favorable as last season, but hopefully we can still do a push, and we'll probably end up doing it with LON bomb. I actually wouldn't mind doing it with invokers either. I really like invokers. I have a really nice invokers set now, so I will be covering that in the next video, guys. Expect that in the next couple of days. I will cover invokers 80 plus. It's still a viable build, guys, even though hammers and LON bomb are so strong. So badass. Invokers is still a really good, really fun build. It's like the epitome of Thorns. It's like the ultimate Thorns build because you just stand there and face tank everything. But we'll get into that in the next video. Expect that this week for sure. I know I've been kind of laming out on putting up videos this season, but I can only make videos if the drops agree with me. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Later.